I run Ixigo.com. It's a leading travel search engine for the Indian market. Um, I've been running Ixigo since inception 2006. We've been in business for almost 6 years. We've got a team of about 47, 48 people based in Gurgaon. The most exciting part about Ixigo is our entire growth story, which has been pretty much led by product innovation, word of mouth growth, sort of things that actually are more sustainable. We've spent very little on marketing in the last 5 years. We've reached a scale of about 1 million unique visitors a month, and I think the fact that we are all very proud of as a team is that we've been able to build a product which has set new benchmarks in the travel industry in India. And as a product, it can compete with the best that's out there. So, the biggest learning we have in putting together a great team is to make sure that the team feels empowered and aligned with the vision of the founders, and that the team feels as much ownership of the product as the core team. So everybody in the team is as empowered as probably what traditionally the core team is supposed to be, and most of all, giving them a work environment that is more flexible, that is more attuned to the kind of lifestyle that these young techies and young product guys want to live. And we've discovered that the best way to build the bonding in the team is to actually hang out together, not just for work but also to have fun, right? So we introduced a lot of fun stuff in the office. We keep having these outings, and that builds the togetherness in the team. And I think it's very critical to have, at least in the early years, a team that sticks together with you for the first 3-4 years, takes you to the point where you're able to be on your own feet. So we've been lucky to that respect that we had that sort of team in place. So Deep, who's now one of our investors, Deep Kalra from Make My Trip, has always been one of the inspirations more nearby. I think globally, Steve Jobs was someone I'd been following for a very long time, and always was very inspiring in terms of product innovation, design, how to be eye for detail centric, and make sure that nothing escapes the eyes of the CEO. Those are some people that I drew inspiration from. What keeps me going is just the objective to build something big, meaningful, tangible, and of use to hundreds of millions of users potentially. So that if I meet someone somewhere at a conference and they say that I used your product and it's a great product and I saved money because of it, or I saved time, or I couldn't find anything as good, that gives me the satisfaction of having built something meaningful. So when you take money from institutional investors, VCs, I think it does two things to the company. One is you actually become more professional in the way you operate, because the entire reporting, MIS, and the fact that you have a board to actually present stuff to, get advice from, makes the whole company operate in a more professional manner. It brings in a lot of discipline because you're chasing targets, you're chasing milestones which the board wants you to chase, and it also leads to a more I think a bigger platform than just the founders themselves discussing an idea, being enthusiastic about it, and starting to develop it. Now you have a platform like a sounding board which can give you advice, which can actually help you pivot if that's required, which can actually guide you through bad times. And I think that's, for us, the best part is that we have access to Safe Partners, which is one of the leading investors. I think they have a lot of experience in growing companies, taking them all the way to IPO. We have access to Make My Trip, which is a leader in the travel industry. So having these people to go back to at the board level definitely gives a lot of comfort and definitely a lot of confidence to our team that we can actually take this to the next level and grow this into something much bigger. Compared to the bootstrapping phase, one thing that I really miss is that when you start a company and you bootstrap, you're driven by a passion of creating something, but there's so much grayness around you that you have to it's not all black and white, that you keep making decisions with very limited information, and you actually don't have any tangible milestone saying I want to be at X in 2 months or 3 months, because you don't know whether it's going to be X or 2X or 5X or 10X or X by 2, right? But once you get to a certain point, once you have a certain trajectory or history in the company, you know your capabilities and you know what you're capable of achieving with what amount of capital, what amount of team size, what sort of resources, and it leads to more predictability in the business. I personally used to love the days when you didn't have that much predictability, because you were sort of going by gut feel, intuition, etc. And now you're taking more decisions based on analytics, metrics, milestones, all of that. But it's a good trade-off. I think you have to learn both sides. So what I love about being an entrepreneur is being able to define my own schedule, being able to define my own way of working, and being able to take advantage of opportunities that in a much larger company, in a much in a bigger structure where you'd be working, you'd have to go through a lot of layers of bureaucracy or a lot of time before you could seize those opportunities and start working on them. As an entrepreneur, when you see an idea, you can actually start getting it into action within minutes or within hours, within days, right? And I think that gives you a lot of power. You feel empowered to be able to do that. But the flip side, which is also why sometimes I hate being an entrepreneur, is that you're so passionate about something that you're devoting practically 20 hours of your day to it, right? And you're not giving enough time to yourself, to your family, etc. So I think maintaining that balance has been a challenge. So I think entrepreneurs need to focus on creating value, and I've seen a lot of young entrepreneurs being over-focused on funding and in the chase for money, right? And I think you end up spending a lot of time on it, you end up spending a lot of resources on it at a stage where all your focus, effort, resources should actually be in building the business, building value for your customers, and probably building a better product, all of that. So I would actually tell entrepreneurs that you got to do justice to whatever time you spend with potential investors, by making sure that it's not jeopardizing your business itself. And I've seen a lot of businesses where it's led to delays in a year for product launch, and it's led to many other things because they were spending too much time with people who potentially wanted to invest, right? So you got to chase the real guys, and you got to first build something that makes people chase you instead. I think that always works, and you got to be patient. I think all the entrepreneurs whom you've probably interviewed would tell you that they've never been able to get everything on time all the time, right? So you got to be patient, you got to persevere. There are times when you'll feel that nothing's gonna happen and the business is not going as it should, and sometimes you might feel you want to pack up and go back home. But when you survive those times and you persevere through those times, many times there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you were only sort of inches away from it when you had that feeling. So maybe you can drudge a little more and get to that point. So we've been through that, and a lot of entrepreneurs who go through that, I would just tell them to soldier on and focus on value for whom you're building your product or your service, and the money will come, right? The money will either come from your customer, investor, or partner, friends, if you're building something tangible and of value.